video of the Cartagena Military Museum, which is in Cartagena in southern Spain, near Alicante, not the one in Colombia or Bogota, near Bogota or anything like that. This is proper in Spain, very easy to get to if you're in Europe. It's about an hour's drive from Alicante Airport in the coastal town of Cartagena, with its fairly obvious Carthaginian backstory as well. And there's a few more tourist bits and pieces around Cartagena that are definitely worth going to see. But we're starting with the interesting stuff. Just opposite the museum in Cartagena, there's this wonderful little kiosk, which is a churreria, a churros kiosk dedicated to selling churros. So if you like kind of big guns and tanks and toy soldier stuff, you probably do like pastry dipped in chocolate sauce. So I thought we'd just start with that. It's just opposite the museum. Bright, beautiful day, you can see when we went there. And let's move on and see what's in the museum. So this is the front of the museum. It's in the Parque de Artillería, so it's run by the artillery group of the Spanish Army, the Museo Militar, and let's whack in a couple of big guns there as well. Nice historic building. Nice. Obviously, there's going to be an open courtyard in the middle of this, as you can see if you've been to many of these buildings in Spain. And this is it. Belongs to the Spanish Army in the Real Parque. No, I'm not even going to try that. The Royal Artillery Depot, built in the 18th century, and coastal defences have been here. So this is telling you there's going to be a lot of big guns here, really. And the city of Cartagena has been defended by guns from the 16th to the 20th centuries. And also there's loads of little models of the territory showing how it works. And there's some other really kind of, this is the interesting thing really, the world's record collection of miniature model tanks and military vehicles. 3 times Guinness World Record holder, and some proper old Spanish stuff there. Oh, that one's kind of gone the wrong way around, hasn't it? So this is the map of it. What you've got here is US aquí. You're here just when you come in. Loads of different rooms, some of them big, some of them tiny, and then an upstairs bit that's definitely there to go. Some of this is not desperately exciting unless you're really into that stuff, optic systems and telemetry. A room with ammunition, we'll show you some of that later. But what about that Guinness World Records miniature tank collection? Can't knock that really, can you? And obviously, where else is there? That's another one. Chapel devoted to Saint Barbara, who is the patron saint of artillery, in case you didn't know. So big up to St. Babs really there. And this was the rooms that, again, what are you looking at? Cartagena was a stronghold, the hall of the colonel's, office of the colonel, uniforms, World Records tanks, right, all good, light weapons, that's pretty cool, and the Met Brigade. So, and again, another quick picture of the front. And as soon as you start, as you always do, you get a really old medieval-esque kind of mortar that still survives, but obviously it's had this bar stuck across it to stop it being used. Not quite sure. I mean, a thick bucket would probably be about the same. And then you get into loads and loads of guns immediately. This is a Russian, what is it, 45, might be 76, with some pretty funky southern Spain kind of camo painted onto it. There we go. It's a 1932 45-44 Cannon anti-tank. Bit of French there. Whatever those things mean. Built in Russia, as I said. And then you get some kind of, well, we'll just run through some of these. This is the double wheel arrangement, First World War type stuff. Other guns there painted a very fetching shade of green. And then you get into the Sala de Canones, the gun hall. The biggest 20th century artillery collection in Spain. I'm sure there's not a huge amount of competition for that, but there it is. Stronghold guns, field guns, coast guns, mountain guns, anti-tank guns, mortars, artillery weapons. Some of them are actually restored. You can actually sponsor these yourself and have your little name put on them. So you start with the real big guns. How big is this gun? This is, oh, not quite see it there. I think this is a 203. This is a pretty recent piece of kit from the Spanish Army, US built. Oh, no, maybe it's not, it's a 150, 55. Is that the right one? Possibly that's the right one. The Rheinmetall gun. And the Spanish Army never came into service. It wasn't actually capable of being pulled. So is that the same one? Am I looking at the same thing? No, maybe that's a slightly different gun I'm looking at here. Could be. Let's see. Big old gun anyway. And what's this one? We've got another one. There we go. I think that might be, yeah, that's the 105 there we've seen. Here's a much smaller one. An Obus 105-26. Nice, cool looking plate there to protect the crew, but you really want to be a long way away. And here's the history of this one. Designed in Germany, the 20s. German Army, 1935, a main piece. They sold some to Spain in 38, which is kind of Civil War-y thing in the Ebro battle. And it was built up into the 60s and decommissioned only in 2002, not that long ago at all. And here is your haul of guns. Big guns, both sides, little guns, both sides. Some of these are mountain guns, some pretty funky camouflage, some interesting stuff, missiles down the bottom. But if you like guns and you like hauls, this is a good haul full of guns. And we'll just roll along. Some of these guns are different modernities and different types as we just chug through here. Mountain gun, 75mm mountain gun. Can we read that one? Ooh, let's have a look. A 1946 model mountain gun. A really funky bit of camouflage there. If you brought your 15mm, 20mm, 28mm stuff with that sort of camouflage scheme, I think you might be laughed at. People would say get your airbrush out, but clearly this one was done with a paintbrush with some pretty tidy lines along it. This is a much easier paint scheme to do. There we go. Mountain again, another 75, a slightly cooler one. And there it is. 1951, built in Seville. A 2-mass gun, one inside another, which doesn't really make sense to me, but you can glue it together. It's not too thick, apparently. It can be carried into the mountains, but sort of an interesting solution. So this one, I particularly loved it. If you're firing this gun in 1913, you're pretty safe, aren't you? You've kind of got a big metal door in front of you and a nice shiny thing there. This is a 1913 Italian light gun, out of date, but the Spanish Civil War had all sorts of stuff. So 220. It's not a model I think I've seen in Spanish Civil War. Looks kind of cool, easy to paint as well. And again, another one where the crew are pretty safe about this one. Rapido, rapid fire cannon 45. It's a copy of the Skoda mountain gun, put in 7 boxes and transported by mules. Look at that, 10 shots a minute from that one. There's another one where the crew are pretty well protected. Here we go, another mountain cannon. There must have been a lot of mountains in this bit of Spain, but this is the interesting bit. What is that? This is a wooden frame to test grenade launchers, because I guess in retrospect you're not going to stick an untested grenade launcher on your shoulder and press the, pull the trigger and hope that it kind of works out okay for you. So this is kind of a wooden frame. I'm not quite sure why that makes it into the museum, but it survived, and that's what museums are for. And here we go back, another one of these Russian 45-44 guns. Must have been a very, very popular gun, 45mm caliber. Both sides used it in the Spanish Civil War. And you can kind of see how that follows on to some of the German and Russian Second World War guns as well. Recoilless guns, 1944. That seems a bit early for recoilless guns, but it's just starting to creep in, pre-Korean War there. And this one, you've got a 1946 model anti-tank gun as well. This is getting a bit more sort of traditional, and this one a bit more sort of sporty, a bit more swept back in the old glassy plate. I guess if you're pushing it forward at high speed, that wind resistance thing would be tremendously beneficial. And here you get a missile tow, a tow missile, the proper thing of the moment, or thing of the 70s and 80s or 90s up into the 2000s. This one is when guns stopped really being material and everybody started having missiles. And then you've got a nice little truck with a big old recoilless rifle on the back. Dodge is American 8-cylinder something, whizzing along. That's kind of hidden away at the back of the museum. And then as well as tows, you've got, I believe this is a Milan or something like that? Oh yes, that's the clue, isn't it? It's a Milan firing post, so it all fits in that nice little box for transportation. Whiz a missile at someone, and then on the other side, just a shed load more of guns really from all sorts of places. 75mm gun, 1913, I guess, yeah, it's still there. That's the one. The Italians wanted to replace their 120 outdated one that used black gunpowder in 1910 at the dawn of the First World War. The people were still using black gunpowder, so they went for the 105, same as everybody else. And here's some guns from the back, all sorts of different exciting wheels. Maybe this thing floats your boat, maybe it doesn't. It's the back end of a gun. That's the view down the hall from the other side. You can see those two big longs. I think that's the 155. I'm pretty sure that is the 203. More I think about it. More Obus sort of Spanish built stuff here. Look, this one's got little seats on it. This is when the army drove into Barcelona. A couple of little guys being carried around on it. All those extra wheels you can see in there being used for road transportation. So when it's just jacked up and that bit sort of facing straight backwards. So it's Italian design, supposed to be World War One. Everybody used it. Everybody used it, and the seats for the crew to be pulled by horses. That is still crazy, really, isn't it? And here's a nice shinier one. You know, this one's obviously been tarted up very, very lovingly, and a 60-pounder. That's kind of chunky, isn't it? And during the Boer War, very, very heavy guns. It's a huge stuff used in South Africa. Nearly 2,000 were produced in World War One, and a much simpler made than thing. And then, like everywhere, there's a stug, because stugs seem to have ended up everywhere after the war, and it must have been a very robust design. And everybody had a few, and I guess the whole sort of Nazi Germany to Franco's Spain just post-war thing was pretty straightforward. Do you want a mortar? We can pick a mortar up for you. Plenty of mortars here as well. But yeah, back to the stug. So the Spanish got 10 stug 3s out of Gs with the 75s and the MG. They bought them for 240,000 marks each, plus, this is great, plus 7,400 for shipping. So that's kind of eBay. Maybe there were PayPal fees as well or something on that one. And they went to the assault gun school in Jutenburg and came back to Spain in 43. And they crossed over from Iran in where that huge station is. And they were used as an experimental assault battery. Some were used as experiments, but they were never really properly used. And then once the US started shipping stuff in after the war, they became obsolete and decommissioned. Apart from, this is where, via Spain, the 6 that were sold to Syria in the 60s with some Panzer IVs were actually used, and then the rest have remained as desk ornaments, I guess, in Spanish barracks. And here it is a bit closer up. Always nice to see some high quality welding lines on a piece of kit, this efficient looking. So this is one of the 4 that was left in Spain. Over there you can see a Roland hiding in the corner, and then this is a wonderful piece of naval gun as well that was sort of coastal. And then here, that's a 203, isn't it? That's a self-propelled 203, something much more modern, hiding behind the stug. So that thing that we saw with the box on it, this is kind of interesting. 4 of these were protecting the harbour at Cartagena, which is supposedly the best natural harbour in the Mediterranean. And this battery could shoot better, it shot better to its right. That's a little bit, I suppose it's where it's positioned really, wasn't it? Quite an impressive thing, particularly when you look from the back. It's a proper naval gun in a little tin can really, which is kind of, but I suppose nobody's really getting that close to do it, and you've got to have these safety guardrails at the back as well to stop people falling up. There you're getting much more modern stuff, big dozer blade to pick up the recoil as well on the back of that one. This is the engine compartment of the stug. This one ain't going anywhere at all. The engine's been nicked or possibly is up for restoring somewhere. And then obviously there's always these T-26s, I'm saying, proper Spanish Civil War. You can see it's got proper bit of Spain applied to it and some interestingly esoteric camouflage there. Yeah, T-26 Model B, used in the Spanish Civil War. And here's your inside of your stug. This is me peering through the hatch on the top, so you can see all the gun mechanism and stuff there. Does that look a bit better? No, that's probably the wrong way around. There you go, that's a slightly better view. You can see how cramped that is there, where the shells and stuff would be kept. Here's out the front of it. That shot was just back there. There you go, looking out the doors. Another Granada de Mortera de 240mm, 1943. Looking at the top of the T-26, that's a little bit more padding on the driver's seat, but it doesn't look particularly bulletproof really, does it? That's a bit of a problem with that one. And then here you've got much more modern vehicles, ET something, and the Roland tracked AA missile launcher thing. Not quite sure what chassis they were built on, but here it is. Missile anti-aero auto-propulsor Roland 2, the SAM system. So there it is, shooting out technical details and everything there for air defense at low, up to 6 km range, 2,000 mile an hour missile. And again, it must have been quite tricky parking that into this historic building, I suspect. You don't want to get that one wrong, really, do you? With all the different bits of radar that you could knock off. And then you get into the kind of the funky stuff. This was a Vickers Sons and Maxim naval swift shooting cannon from 1898, which is going back some time. But what we were delighted about was the firing mechanism. They basically managed to create the firing mechanism is some sort of cowboy pistol that they've kind of jammed in there. So good on Vickers. You know, you put that up against your shoulder, you look down the barrel, you pull the trigger, and you're firing a naval gun at someone in the same way you might fire a cowboy's pistol. And there's the thing. And this is again the cool thing. Some of them are used on armoured Republican trains. What about this? So this was stuck on the back of a train, shot like a pistol at people. Armoured trains are always a win, aren't they, really? And what's this one? And then there was this sort of mini TARDIS gun as well that had been repaired and restored in the place. Very, very similar. Not TARDIS, sorry, Dalek. There you go. Obviously the inspiration for a Dalek. 57mm, 1896 as well. And what a beautiful piece, particularly with the wheels. You know, you could take that to a supermarket, you know, you would park it, use it as a trolley. It would go up on one of those ramps as long as the wheels had that thing that meant that they were clipped into the moving walkway. That would be great. And what a great little funky little thing that is. We should all have one at home, really. Quad 12.7 mg, 50 cal, sits in the back of GP kind of half-track type things and whizzes around, but this one's obviously towed. Here we go, we've got a bit more Bofors action going on. The 70mm Bofors, or 40mm with 70 caliber. Bofors, the classic anti-aircraft gun of the Allies. Here's a twin one of something. Then what else have we got? Some sort of clever fire control thing. The Super Fledermaus, that's the Super Bat, I believe, in my great translation of Spanish, from all over the shop, really. Where's this one go? Still can't quite make that out. Never mind. And here, if you're driving the Super Bat, these are the controls you've got to keep hold of. And this is the haul of more bullets than anywhere else in Spain. Lots of different bullets, but bullets do look fairly similar. Sometimes they're bombs. They look fairly similar as well. And what have you got here? And some missiles, which is always nice, and a torpedo. So it's not just bullets, there's some other stuff. Of course, there's a Flak 88. The great thing about this is the Spanish army were using these until the 1990s. Some actually being made in Spain. So, you know, we all know that it was a fabulous piece of kit, but I didn't quite realise it was so fabulous. It was still in use in the 1990s in Spain, alongside much more modern bits of kit like the Roland and the rest of it. And here we go. We're now, this is not quite the start of the bit about the world's biggest collection of model tanks. This is a display of what some sort of regiment type thing of Spanish artillery would be, with all the support vehicles. So you're buying an awful armoured infantry units. That's probably that armoured infantry thing, isn't it? You've got the support guns there, lots of these little armoured personnel carriers whizzing around at the back, and loads of trucks, some bridge layers, all sorts of different pieces. There's a lot of non-combatant things, and then some, are they VABs? I can't remember what the Spanish army drives around in. And look at this, you know, a collection of all the world's Spanish military spades. You will never see a better collection of Spanish military spades anywhere else on YouTube. I think this may be a YouTube highlight, really. Here's a close-up of the little guys. They're all stood there. They're all, you know, all posed very nicely. Quite cute little vehicles. Quite a lot of them. You can see there. And then we get into the artillery rangefinder hall. All the technical stuff there. More rangefinders, more things like that. And this is Babs. This is Babs, the patron saint of artillerymen everywhere. This is her chapel. So if you want to have a quick, sit down and have a prayer moment and pray to Babs, this is the place. Let's just all think about Babs for a little bit of time. Loads of different models of Cartagena through the ages. This is the main Spanish sort of almost naval base and shipyard. So the Navantia shipyard, who started making ships in the time of the Armada, is based here. And this is it. You can try and re-engineer it. I was wondering if those were black sail ships, but they're not. They're kind of other ones. Nice little models in a series of rooms showing what a kind of, I guess at the time, still almost Arabic architecture was still left whenever this one's one. It had not quite been cleared out. Here's a bit of Spanish people doing dastardly stuff to the Moors, I suspect, because that's normally what these things are in Spain. In the hall, this is the sort of commandant's office, or would have been the commandant's office in there. He's got a nice bit of tiling on his fireplace for sure. And then we get much more into more normal guns. Here's a gun, there's another gun, little Maxim gun type thing there. This looks like pretty easy target practice for me. Instructions, but I would probably expect the target to move a bit further away from the end of the gun barrel over time as you got better at it, but you got to start somewhere, I suppose. Spanish rifles and Spanish machine gun type things. Every museum's got loads of these things. This is the one with the Mausers, the Germans. There's a lot going on with that one. The MG34s, the MG42s, all the different bits and pieces. Clearly a lot of these kicking around. What's that, 19th century, guns of different countries. A bit of an AK there from 1990, I think that was found in Nicaragua, that one. Obviously kind of, unfortunately rather one. No reglamentarius, hand arms non-regulation, I suspect that means. All sorts of other much more modern ones, Spanish modern submachine guns, other types of different types of machine guns, rocket science. This looked like it would never run out of bullets. If you were in a sort of Mexican standoff pistol shooting thing with someone, you'd really want this one, because they're going to run out after what, 5, 7, 9. You're going to keep going on until a week on Wednesday really with that, popping away at them, and you probably should hit them before you run out. But this was the most crazy bit. In this artillery museum, all of these cabinets are filled with what look like 1/72nd-ish scale models, presumably commercially available models of tanks and armoured fighting vehicles from throughout history and throughout the war, in a world record collection of 2,000 some odd. And it took a while for us to work out that, like, I've got quite a lot of tanks if you count 1/300 scale and things, but the issue with these is they are all different. Every single one is a different mark or model or variation of a tank. So it's actually 2,000 different models of real-ish tanks and armoured fighting vehicles. And here's the guy, Francisco Sanchez Abril, a hero to all of us, who had 2,815 models in 2012, so 13 years ago. And Jesus Christ, he looks so happy about being a world record holder, doesn't he? He's just like ecstatic about that. What a result! What a result! There he is. Let's just see. Good on you, Francisco Sanchez Abril. Which a name to conjure with for all people who collect little toy tanks, and there's just quite a lot of them. This is starting with the Spanish stuff. You go into complete madness from the Spanish Civil War. All of these slightly weird, cobbled together armoured vans, armoured tractors, things like that, up to much more modern stuff. All these. What's that? That's the LTVP7. You've got that, looks like a knockoff Marder of some sort. What the hell's that one? That's probably a Leo of some sort, and then loads of these little 6-wheelers as well. But if you look, all of these are slightly different marks of completely mad stuff. Let's have a look at some of these in a fly through, particularly the Spanish Civil War ones, because they're just super mad and super cool. What's not to like about someone who's collected all of these? Although I think there's an interesting concept in that his basing is a little bit, that's not bad, but the basing's consistent there, but I think he kind of must have run out of the flock or something at some stage as it starts to change. And the Durutti column, everybody's there, because you see this is just different basing. This is a kind of cool one. This is a Renault, no, is it a Samua, S35 Samua, with some sort of weird listening post possibly on the top, or periscope of some sort. So there's some oddities here. Again, a few more of these Spanish Civil War nonsense. Here's looking at some railway guns from various places in the turntable. But you know, I suppose basing, you've got to base railway guns on railways. But here they're starting to be a bit all over the shop with different bridge layer models. You've got Churchill bridge layers up there, some funnies. That looks like a Sherman bridge layer. Something on trucks. That might be a Chaffee type one. But then you're getting into all sorts of different nonsense here, even up to modern MRAPs, mine vehicles. And what I've really done, because there's 3,000 of them, you don't want to sit through 3,000. So I just took photos of some of the more mad stuff. So you'll see some more mad stuff coming up here, and you know, bits of other pieces. So this must be Brits, I guess. That's probably yeah. Those are current UK armour. You've got Shermans in there. You've got all the different funny. Oh no, maybe it's just funnies. This thing's kind of interesting. I think I took a proper photo of it. Yep, here it is. This was an experimental German mine clearing vehicle that I've seen the real one in the Kubinka Tank Museum, and if you watch my video on Kubinka, you will actually see the real one of these, and it's bloody massive, really, a bit mental. This, God knows what this was, a British thing with enormous wheels before they realised tracks was a good idea. You've got your original tank there, but then you've got a hovercraft, and you've got a side chariot that looks like a hat model. You've got Leonardo da Vinci's tank there. You can see that other one from a different angle. All sorts of nonsense in the broadest possible description of what an armoured fighting vehicle is. A slightly armoured side chariot. Yeah, a bit of Da Vinci. There's a balloon on the back of a Samua. You've got a catapult there. And here, all you're getting into, yeah, I think this may well be Brits. You know, you've got some desert stuff in Cornta there. You've got some of the things which are now stars in World of Tanks, in Conquerors, and very rare things that didn't really happen there. Challengers, Churchills, Archers. I think there's a Tog somewhere as well, lurking away in here. A lot of things that never really existed, purely experimental. You must have done very well to find the kits. And then all sorts of oddities here. You know, you've got a Japanese knockoff of an elephant. You've got some sort of weird knockoff of a Yag Tiger. You've got that's Japanese boat tank thing. Then I wouldn't even be able to guess which war this came from, but big dozer on the front, quite a lot of tracks. That's not stopping anytime soon. There's the Tog. World of Tanks fans will love the Tog, of course. And what the hell was that? Is that even a? It must be a kit, I imagine, but it could be scratch built out of Blue Peter stuff. God knows what, really. And again, just have another look around some of the more stuff that you will recognise and stuff that you'll think, what the hell is that? A Russian flying tank. I think this is actually a real thing. Well, clearly it's potentially a real thing. An experimental German helicopter, malarkey, bedstead thing. Mystery to that. That looks like someone's tried to make a paper aeroplane of a Typhoon and not done a bad job if it was a paper aeroplane, but done a pretty crappy job. It must be some sort of drone kit, not necessarily an armoured vehicle, but we'll let it go. Again, another kind of mad unmanned drone. Must be experimental with Northrop Grumman on. Do you want some American tanks? You know, yeah, you can see some of these, the Chaffies, the M48s, the Sheridan, all sorts of things like that. And then you've got nonsense like that, whatever that is. Or this one, which I'd even missed. I'm actually only seeing some of these now because there was just too much to take in. What in God's name is that? That would be like crap if it was in Thunderbirds, really, wouldn't it? And what have we got down here? Armoured recovery vehicles. Some of those, yeah, they're much more sensible. And yeah, but look at that. That's just a very, very, very weird sort of thing. No idea what that is at all, but it doesn't look particularly useful in terms of its defensive capabilities, but that's quite a big gun. And if you hit it here, I guess you'd probably be safe. Of course, cars on skis with big fans on them. This is proper like Soviet era James Bond malarkey. All sorts of madness with that. I think I'll give you a pass on the painting there, but really you should have done the gloss varnish, stick the transfer on, gloss varnish again, then matte varnish to get rid of that transfer mark, really, I think, if you're doing it properly. This one looks like it's been very, very painted many times, and it's got a spare bit of propeller stuck onto it. Any clues? I'm not sure I'd even be able to guess which language that is, no matter what it is. And you've just got to wonder, is this a kit or something, or is this what is actually made it? And it's Johnny inconsistent with the basing. This one, let's stick a couple of missiles on an early war Valentine. I suspect that's a bit mad. Still not done the transfer thing there. And then you've got the famous T-14 Armata that clearly doesn't seem to work and isn't in action anywhere. Nice proper T-34-76 with some really artistic, you could hide that in a forest and that would make it completely invisible with this extra stuff that they've done on that one. Not quite sure what that is. Something experimental, probably made only one of. And we start getting into the Russian cities because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wheels there, plus the other 2, and a couple of different turrets on it. And looks like sort of a KV-ish turret there. It's not going to go around corners that quickly. This one, much the same. This is like the Russians were doing in the early war. Interesting paint scheme. I think he's done better with the transfers there. Good on him. This is just nonsense, isn't it, really? Is this just like him going, I need to get up to 2 and a bit thousand and we'll just start gluing some model kits together? Because this is Chinese, and that looks like a Panzer II. That's a KV, is it? That's a T-26. That's nonsense with 2 of those things in. That's got 2 as well, and it's got Katyushas on it, so it's going to hurt if it comes for you, but I think if you go around a corner, you're safe. That's never happening. Bit of kind of chaos here. This is possibly from Mad Max. Yeah, that would have been cool in the First World War, but I'm not sure it really existed. It looks more like something that is an automated vacuum cleaner. And oh, little Red Cross one with a big fan on it. Kind of a nice little bug. Not. I think there's possibly more work could be done on the window painting there. A floating boaty tanky thing. That's a Czech T38, Czech built T38, and that's kind of that's probably a Tesla iron zap gun or something in something that's come out of the First World War. No idea on that one. I haven't even seen that in World of Tanks. And here we start getting some weird late war German stuff. Kind of a bit of bruising old world lining there. Quite sort of sleek. That gun seems to get bigger towards the end. And yeah, that's just nonsensical, isn't it, really? Yeah, that looks like a T. Is that a T something turret on the top? Or is it just a midget version of it? So it all just goes up in one line. But clearly, the camo scheme, it was too high for them to reach up and paint it. I did wonder if this was the Airfix, but I don't think it is. I don't think the wheels look like they've caused enough pain when they've been stuck on. The world's maddest elephant, and in a kind of, shall we be generous and say chocolatey brown wash, reminiscent of Cell Block H, and some more post-war experimental mad stuff. That's almost a JS3, isn't it, I think? And here we go. We start getting into much more expansive modelling where he's putting multiple tanks into different landing craft, hovercraft, whacking in a few submarines in there, because submarines are armoured. No, they're not really, are they? But, again, once you get to this point, I imagine the guys at the Guinness Book of Records were like, the phone would ring in their office and they'd all look at each other, and then someone would pick it up and they'd be like, Francisco, you called last week, didn't you? Yeah, you've built another one, have you? So you want us to change the record from 2,815 up to 16? No, we're not going to come down to Spain, to Cartagena to see it. We trust you. We'll make the change next time we do a reprint. Yeah, Is that good? Thank you, thank you. Oh, speak to you soon. Speak to you soon. And there he is, in recognition of his magnificent work. He's really the largest in living, something resulting in the biggest collection in the world of miniature military equipment. And in Cartagena, you can do this. And see Francisco's fabulous work. There he is. And it still goes on forever. Armoured trains, as I said, we've all got to love an armoured train. I think he's been cute here, isn't he? Because each carriage, he's got a different label. So that's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 towards his world record total, rather than just being one big armoured train. Whereas that one, he missed a trick there, because you could have got at least another 6 out of that, but it's only one label. So possibly, depending on how you count it, there could be more. Bit of a glider, is that a Gotha glider or something? You get tanks in it. Loads more tanks, just loads and loads and loads more tanks of different types, even technicals getting in there. This one had a bit of a bad day. Maybe it's for firing downhill or something like that, or maybe just the gun just falls out of it. The ski troops being towed by the T-34. Not sure I'd be that keen on that one. And then obviously secret German flying saucers is another key element of what we're looking at, as well as rather crazy German Second World War rocket malarkey. Some of these flying saucers and stuff quite big. That looks like a desk fan, possibly, but it's got the same basing, so at least that's good. Zeppelins, rockets, crazy rockets, flying saucers. What's not to like? And what's not to like is some more completely mad little tankettes and things that should only really have been allowed in the Spanish Civil War. That one may be Austrian. That's presumably from Fiat. So it must be Italian. Some weird Italian First World War tank no one's ever heard of. This looks like a squishy Merkava something, like for girls on Panzer or something. There it is, a slightly cleaner one. Not quite sure. And then submarine with a little happy smiley face that's obviously got two kills to its name, bitten off more than it could chew. And then in the rest of the museum, you got the usual hall of uniforms, which is kind of okay. This is a special Spanish Army uniform just for smoking. So if you want to smoke, you do have to put that on. Outside, of course, another 88 and another dirty great missile, and someone's house overlooking the square. You've got this one with a little bit of camping going on the top, self-propelled artillery, another dirty great missile as well. So, and that, my friends, is the end of this amazing tour of the Cartagena Military Museum, which I would absolutely recommend, if only just to goggle at the madness of the world's biggest collection of model tanks, but certainly because it's got some great other toys, and Cartagena's actually a pretty cool city for a couple of days to do some decent bars, some decent tapas places, some decent nightlife, great views over the coast. There's a lot of other Roman historical stuff there as well to see, and there's even some Carthaginian walls you can walk along, and you're not supposed to touch, but you can touch some walls that Hannibal himself may have walked past. So on that note, I think with a recommendation for a wall where Hannibal's been, we'll draw this one to a close.
This means war.